Hello and welcome. Here's again your computer Wunsam, and today I will show you the properties of one of the most important aspects of image manipulation, namely layers. Before we can start, however, with the layers, I prepared 4 of these pictures here. Let's start by inserting our all-time favorite rubber ducky. As you can see, the rubber ducky is perfectly clear. If we try to delete something using the eraser, you can see that we are getting the background color, which is some sort of light gray in my case. Let's put it back to black and white, and I will undo this. Now, as you can see, if I delete it, then it's purely white. Before we can use the layers in itself, we need to add something special. It is the so-called alpha channel. The alpha channel is necessary to get some transparent backgrounds for any picture we are getting here. Usually most of the pictures have an alpha channel, but in this case this picture doesn't have it because it's directly inserted from my folder. As you can see, when you delete it now after adding the alpha channel, you can get this background which is quite gray checkered. So this gray checkered background means that this is in fact invisible. So if we try to copy this thing, this ducky in our case, then we just get the same duck with a little bit of a corner cut from it. I will undo this by pressing Ctrl and C, and now we have the duck here back. When we are talking about layers, they are usually represented in this big grayish window. You can see that our first layer is in fact our rubber duck. Usually these layers are on the lower right corner here, a little bit smaller with the brushes above. But I change it like this because I usually work with layers when I manipulate pictures. The first thing we are going to do is copying in fact this little layer. We are pressing the right mouse button on it. Then there is the thing called duplicate layer. We can create the duplicate of this layer, and then it will be directly added to the image. The great thing about this is that we can in fact change this little duck in this case and change it to any color we want. Let's say a green color, for instance. We can now fill the green color here on the duck, and then we can easily see how different our new picture is compared to the old picture. If you're working with your brush, it is quite interesting and very easy to change the pictures this way. However, I will undo this step now by again pressing Ctrl C. I need to press it some more times to change the duck back to the usual position. One of the most important tools is the so-called fuzzy select tool. You can use it to select a specific region on a basis of color. I will show this example in this case with our rubber ducky. If I press on a little bit darker shade of yellow, you can see that the duck gets some weird lines which are moving. This means everything in this line is actually marked. If we do anything with this, then we are capable of changing only the selected marked values. I again use the brush, increase the size, and as you can see, the only thing that gets green is the part of the duck which gets marked. We are going in marking tools a little bit later, in selection tools a little bit later. For the moment, however, we need this tool to cut out our duck. What do we need to do for this? As you can see, the whole background is fully white, which is amazing. As I said, the fuzzy select tool selects a contiguous region on the basis of color. So for instance, if it selects a white color, which is only connected to each other, then we are only getting all of the white surface. I press del. Then you can see that don't too much has changed. But if we are going here on the right side, you can see there are the two eyes open. If we disable the background, you can see that the whole thing is transparent now. This means the only thing we would copy is only the rubber duck. And technically, if we paint anywhere here, only the green part is at the background, as the background is in fact selected. I will undo this again. We are now capable of inserting the duck into another picture. Therefore, we are going to File, press Open, and then as you can see, these are the same images which I've shown you. Let's choose our images, which is in fact the big ocean we have made. And now we can use the rubber duck and insert it into the new picture. However, for this we at first have to select the rubber duck in itself. Therefore, we have to press the right mouse button, then here on Select, All, and now we can copy this by pressing Ctrl C, and then here we have to press Ctrl V. Now at first, as you can see, the rubber duck is here, and now we only need to change one little thing. This is the floating selection in our case. Press the right mouse button, then use to new layer, and then we are capable of transforming, changing, and selecting the picture as much as we want. This rubber duck looks a little bit bland, don't you think? We need a little bit more action, and as I've shown you, there are two other pictures which we haven't used for the moment. Therefore, we go back to our little rubber duck. Now it's time to use our third picture, which is our pirate head in our case. We take the pirate head, move it into our picture, and then as you can see, the pirate head is already in there. The only thing we need to do now is change the pirate head so it fixes on our rubber duck. However, it still has this weird background. Therefore, we again need the fuzzy select tool. Use it on this bluish background and then press the del key. As you can see, it doesn't work. The reason for this is quite simple. We have forgotten the alpha channel. Therefore, we need to press the right mouse button on the layer, in our case the pirate head layer, press Add Alpha Channel, and now if we press Delete, it's gone. As you can see, however, if we put the head on the rubber duck, it's a little bit cut off. That's kind of a problem, but it is some problem we are able to solve. We have to go up here to Image, then select Canvas Size. The canvas size means how big our place is to paint on it. So the bigger the canvas size, the more we can paint technically. In our case, we only need to increase the canvas size for around 50. So we had 350, and now let's go back to 400. If we press enter now, you can see that the canvas size here in fact goes down. The reason for this is that the canvas size will be increased below the duck, but we need it above, and therefore we have to move the duck here up, here down. As you can see, the offset also has changed, and if we are finished, we can press resize. Now we are capable of putting the duck's head on the head. Where are we? This is in fact a little bit of a problem here, because we still need to get rid of the eye patch. The problem is that the eye patch and the head are in fact connected with each other. But we are capable of separating them by using this tool, namely the so-called free select tool. At first, however, we need to make sure that nothing is selected. Here we can press the right mouse button again, press select and press none. Or use Ctrl, Shift and A, which selects nothing. For clarification, I press Ctrl A. As you can see, everything here has this line, which means everything here has been selected, this moving line. And if I press Ctrl, Shift and A, then nothing is selected. Now we need a little bit to zoom in, so I hold the Control key, put the mouse wheel up to make sure that we are getting a very big, very zoomed in picture. Now this is a little bit simpler because it's so good separated, but we have to use the free select tool and technically paint around the eye patch, and if we are ready, then we can use a double click, and as you can see, we only have selected the eye patch. Now what we need to do is just cut out all of this by using Edit, Cut, and as you can see, the eye patch is already gone. It looks already nice here, but we will reinsert the eye patch, and as you can see on the upper right corner, we will get a new layer if we press again the right mouse button. Then here in paste, so there you will get the new eye patch again, but there's still this little problem with the floating selection, the so-called pasted layer. It can't be technically manipulated perfectly, therefore we need to press the right mouse button on it and make it to a new layer. Now we are capable of moving the eye patch as much as we want without moving our little pirate head. Now let's use it here, which still doesn't look perfect. But this is something we can repair very simply. The next tool I will show you is the so-called Unified Transform tool. Using this tool and pressing on the eye patch in our case opens up these little squares which all have a different function. For instance, if we use this one, it's this one, you can see it changes totally in perspective. Or we can just move it again here. And let's use it like this here. It doesn't look too bad. We can make it smaller or bigger. Or we can use it to make change it perspectively by using the smaller squares, the smaller diamonds in our picture. This looks already quite nice. However, it isn't perfectly sized now. So, okay. We need a little bit of experimenting in our case here, but if we have found a correct path or correct way to change this thing, then it should look perfect. So we need a little bit, we make it a little bit smaller. As you can see, it is quite a work of precision to make it perfectly, but seems like it looks good already. And if we are done, we just press the return key, and as you can see, it is already on it. It looks like a little dangerous pirate. Now, one simple thing is quite strange, because in fact the eye patch is here a little bit in front of the pirate head. This, however, we can solve very simply. As you can see, the pasted layer, which has our eye patch, is above the pirate head. So if we move the pasted layer down, you will see that the pirate head is now in front of the eye patch. Working with layers is one of the most important things in image manipulation. And if you know how the layers work, you can make amazing pictures this way. So we are nearly done now. The only thing we need is the fourth picture. These are these weird Cowspots. They are quite interesting because they show perfectly the combination on how all of these tools work. We will insert this Cowspots again. As you can see, it fully hides our cute little pirate guy, but as you can see, it is in fact behind the pirate head, which is quite interesting. However, we technically need it behind the eye patch too. We have to put the Cowspot layer a little bit down. Okay, now we have the eye patch and the head in front. And the second step we need to do is again the Unified Transform tool. We use this. I zoom a little bit out by turning the mouse wheel down and holding this control key. And now we only have to make this a little bit smaller. However, I want to make sure that I hide the duck as a whole. Okay, now I zoom a little bit in to make sure that the duck is fully hidden. Press enter. And now it still doesn't look perfect, but we can now go to the next step. We are using again the fuzzy select tool. Go to the white stains here and then delete this white surface. And as you can see, there's only the duck behind. However, it is so much hidden here, and there are still these weird cow stains behind. We need to make sure that all of these cow stains here in the transparent layer are gone, and they are only on the rubber duck. This will be achieved by being a little bit tricky. As you can see, this layer which we have is now selected. So if we paint here, you can see that everything in this layer will be painted, but not our head or our eye patch. The reason for this is quite simple, because we have selected this layer now. I will deselect everything again with Control Shift A, and then I will choose the duck layer. And if I paint here, as you can see, everything in front of the duck layer will be unfazed, while the duck in itself dissolves in green. I will undo this, Control C. The point is, we can now be very tricky and very smart. We are using again the fuzzy select tool, but now, as long as the duck is selected, we go into the transparent background. As you can see, only the duck here is selected and nothing else. And now we go to the layer above, which is in fact our Cowspots. And if we now press del, that the Cowspots in fact fit perfectly on the duck. That's quite amazing. So we have a very cow looking duck. However, it still looks like it's a little bit sick. The last thing we need to do now, for making our spots spotlessly cute, we have to look at the opacity in the upper right corner. If we reduce the opacity, you can see that you're getting a cute effect the less opacity you are getting. You can choose how much opacity you want. Let's say 60, or no, let's say 40. 45. 45 looks cool. And now the picture in itself is quite cool. I will choose the duck again, and now we can put this beautiful little duck on our adventures. I again press Control A, copy it with Control C, and now I will insert this duck via Control V. And oops. This is the second duck we have inserted, as you can see by the floating selection. But as you can see, all of the features the duck has are gone. Technically they are not gone. The only thing we have copied is in fact the duck layer. So I will delete this again. Right mouse button, delete layer, and go here. And the only thing we need to do to make this a full picture is here, press the right mouse button, and press New from Visible. Alternatively, you can merge all of the visible layers, but I prefer New from Visible because if you have some changes you want to have, you are capable of changing them as much as you want. Now it looks a little bit weird. We need to put this in the front, and now this is how our rubber duck looks like. Again, Control A for selecting everything, Control C for copying, and now Control V for adding our little action-like ducky into our beautiful ocean. I hope you have enjoyed this course, and I can't wait to see what amazing and beautiful pictures you can create with your amazing layer capabilities. See you around, your Computerwunsam.